Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Rational Dad Podcast. I'm your host, Adam. Today, we're going to be talking about transgender competitors. The video I'm going to be watching and reacting to is called "Female Student Athletes Fight Back Against the Woke Mob Pushing Transgender Competitors." Now, just very quickly, and I won't waste a whole lot of time on this, but I kind of want to give my thoughts on this. So I have two daughters, biological females. If they had to compete against biological males in sports, I would not be happy about it. But here's the thing that people need to understand. It's not that I don't have a problem with transgender people. I don't care if you're an adult and you want to make those decisions for yourself and you feel like you were born in the wrong body and you want to switch, you have the money and you have the time, and do it. It's your life. It's your body. I don't care. I don't think any less of you. Just, I don't care about those kinds of things. I care about what's in your heart and what's in your mind. Okay. But we have to draw the line somewhere. Okay. Biological males have a clear, distinct biological, physical advantage over biological females on average. So I would not like if my daughter, who's working her butt off, my daughter ran track a year before last, and she started having some pretty bad leg issues, so she didn't do it all year. But my point being, if I saw her have to compete against someone who had a clear advantage, it's basically like competing against another biological female on steroids. That's basically what it is. And it's not that I don't have love or compassion for transgender people, but it's not fair. It's just not. So anyways, let's get into this.
Two top transgender doctors are sounding the alarm and putting the well-being of children ahead of the left's radical agenda. In a bombshell interview, the medical experts say we've gone too far when it comes to the use of puberty blockers and gender procedures in young kids. But the establishment and the media won't listen to them. Why? Because anyone who questions whether or not a 9-year-old is too young to undergo reassignment surgery or dares object to a biological male competing in women's sports becomes a public enemy of the woke mob. No one knows that better than athletes Alana Smith and Selena Soule. They're fighting back against the unfair competition. They join me now along with their attorney, Christiana Honka.
You know, real quick, before we get into what they're going to say, one thing that is it's always confusing in that I can't really reconcile with this whole woke agenda with trans athletes and them being okay with them competing in biological female sports is you're completely ignoring the 99.99% of the people in that sport that are biological females. You're saying their opinions don't matter, and that if they speak out against this, then somehow they're transphobic or whatever. So do the biological females that don't want to compete against biological males, do their opinions not matter? You know what I mean? It's not fair. And I know that sounds like a very watered down way to look at it, but it's not fair.
Thanks so much for coming on. Alana, tell me a little bit about what your story and experience has been.
My freshman year of high school, I competed against the two biological males, and it was just really demoralizing to know that all of my hard work and all the other female athletes' hard work wasn't paying off, and we were really just racing for second and third place, and we weren't going to get the spots that we truly deserved to get.
Mm-hmm. Selena, tell me about your experience.
I was forced to compete against biological males throughout all 4 years of high school, and I lost out on countless opportunities, primarily the opportunity to qualify for the regional New England championships in the 55-meter dash, and if they weren't there, I would have qualified. And I've had to compete against these athletes over a dozen times, and every single time I lost without fail.
Mm-hmm. Christiana, it seems to me like this is a situation where we are forced.
You know, it is encouraging to know, I don't know who the doctors are that are speaking out against this, but we need the doctors and the adults in this country to stand up and have a rational conversation about this stuff, right? Because right now the conversation is controlled by the far left progressives that say that you're basically a bigot and a homophobe, or a transphobe, if you even say that these biological males should not be competing against biological females. They don't want to hear it. You're a piece of crap for even saying it. But we need, someone just opened that door. We need the adults in this country to stand up and have a real conversation about this. And the conversation is a very simple one. We don't hate trans people. It's not anti-trans. It's not transphobic to say that it's not fair that you're competing against our biological daughters. Okay? We can't protect everyone's feelings at every corner. You know what I'm saying? Someone's going to get their feelings hurt. Life is not going to be fair for everyone all the time. And I'm perfectly fine dying on this hill to drawing the line of letting biological males compete with biological females in sports. Because these girls work their butts off. Look, I have 2 daughters. They're super competitive. And like mentally, they can compete with boys in anything. And my oldest daughter does. Trust me. I'm not going to get into all that, but she's brilliant. But physically, they would get absolutely destroyed 99% of the time if they had to compete against biological males in physical sports. And as parents and as doctors and as scientists, we need to steer the conversation back to some resemblance of common sense. You know what I'm saying? And stop letting these crazies on the fringe control the narrative.
Forced to get involved in litigation and in fights that you never really want to as a distraction during your high school years and the like. What are the legal aspects of these fights as you see them playing out across the country?
Well, girls like Selena and Alana deserve to compete on a level playing field and have the same quality of opportunities that their brothers have. But Ben, as you and I both know, this issue is so much bigger than just sports. Radical activists, including those in the Biden administration, are threatening those who stand up for basic facts about biology and the fact that humans are either male or female. And, you know, we see this ideology play out with real human cost. You know, women are...
You know, the whole thing about the progressives wanting to basically diminish the differences between biological males and biological females, boys and girls. I don't get why. What is so wrong about being different? Because I've had this conversation with my girls numerous times. Different doesn't mean better or worse. It just means not the same. Women have very clear differences from men, temperamentally, physically. We're different, but that doesn't make one better than the other. Now, when it comes to basketball, yeah, we're better than you. Get over it. And baseball and football and sports. Okay, we're better than you at sports. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know why. I didn't choose to be 6'5", 225 pounds. I didn't choose this. It just happened. Well, I kind of chose the weight. Been eating a lot. But my point is, we have to live in reality here. Okay? And men and women are different. And that's okay. Women are awesome. I love women. But we're better than you at sports.
Are being forced and trapped in prison cells with violent male criminals. We see parents who are either pushed out of the conversation entirely or are intimidated into putting their children on hormones or undergoing life-altering surgeries. Even women are broadly being dehumanized by being referred to as chest feeders or birthing people, and the list just goes on and on. So that's why Alliance Defending Freedom and a broad coalition are standing up for basic truth and basic biology and to protect women and girls like Selena Selena and Alana.
Alana, tell me a little bit, and I'll ask this of you as well, Selena.
Hell yeah.
What was the reaction among your friends, among your parents, among people you talked to, when you tried to talk to them about the challenge of going through what seemed to be such an unfair experience?
Well, my friends and family supported what I was doing, and they thought it was great that I was fighting for women's sports and ensuring that we weren't becoming sidelined in our own sport.
I mean, come on, guys. This is simple. We created women's sports for a reason, so that way they had a safe place to compete against other women, so that way they could actually compete and actually win and feel the joy of winning and competing and it being fair and working their butt off to compete for something that matters to them. When you throw a biological male into the mix, you're just slapping every girl in the face with a dick. I shouldn't have made that joke. I'm sorry. It's a slap in the face. It's saying your hard work doesn't matter anymore because this person's going to most likely win every time. It's not right.
The only backlash I really got was on social media from people that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Selena, was it the same experience for you?
I had a very similar experience as Alana. I've gotten nothing but love and support from my friends and family. My parents have been fighting this alongside with me, and I also have only really gotten hate from social media, but I just focus on all of the love and support.
Mm-hmm. Selena, do you feel like this is one of those issues where the nationalized nature of social media, the internationalized nature of it, basically allows just about anybody in the world to take pot shots at you, whether they know you or not, whether they're going to your school or part of your community or not, that's really what kind of drives this discussion now, as opposed to letting places decide, letting parents and students decide for themselves how things like this ought to be governed?
I think that social media is a big factor in this because people get a boost of confidence by hiding behind a phone screen. But it's just a really unfortunate situation because it...
You know, another thing I was just thinking about, too, is that... I forgot. Let's go.
Should be accepted that women's sports need to be kept as just women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I was going to say. And I'm assuming these girls are in high school. So I think that if you took a poll, and I could be wrong, but if you took an anonymous poll where the girls felt like there would be no backlash for saying something that would, maybe get them in some hot water. I keep thinking my door's opening. I think if you took a poll, I bet you the vast, and I'm talking about well over 90%. I would, and I'm probably lowballing it, that if you took a poll of every high school female athlete in this country and asked them if they thought it was fair if they had to compete against a biological male, I'm lowballing it at 90%. I guarantee you almost all of them say absolutely not fair. But you can't say that these days. I mean, you can, but the crazies online will make you feel like you're a piece of shit. And unfortunately, a lot of the corporations in this world are siding, for reasons unbeknownst to me, because it never works out for them, they're siding with the crazies. But I'm just happy that these girls are fighting back, and they're pushing back, because we got to get back to some semblance of reality in this country. The whole gender thing, the whole trans thing, it's just, we're not looking at these issues rationally. We're saying everything's allowed. You got to let them play sports. You got to let them do everything. You know what I mean? You got to let them go into the bathroom that they choose instead, and no matter who cares. You know what I mean? And it's not okay.
Alana, in terms of your own experience, this has to be something that's discouraging, but have you taken some silver lining out of the fact that you've gotten that level of support that you mentioned from your friends and family?
Yeah, it makes me feel really proud that my story has made it so far, and that hopefully it'll help more female athletes to stand up so that change can be made quicker, and so that women's sports can stay women's sports, and we can continue to compete on a level playing field.
You know, it really seems to me like this is an issue that invades our communities and creates such hard questions for parents and for communities to face.
I don't think they're hard
really
questions.
Unfair to all of the girls who are involved. And I want to thank you both for being brave enough to stand up and to push back against what is an agenda that obviously has enormous backing from very powerful people, but really doesn't represent what the communities or parents or even the female students involved really want for their communities. Thank you.
You know, that's bizarre to me too. I was actually going to ask that question earlier when I was thinking about it. The question for me is why? Why do these corporations, why are they so hell-bent on backing these sort of ideologies that the vast majority of the country is against? It's weird, man. And we'll just stick on this topic right here with the transgender athletes. And again, I want to reiterate something. I have a lot of compassion for trans people. My youngest daughter has some gender dysphoria issues. But it's more, I wasn't going to talk about it, but then I'll talk about it a little bit. The reason I wasn't going to talk about it because it's not a traditional, she has a lot of health issues, and that has contributed to her gender issues. And I won't get into the details of that, but she's had a very hard life. Let's put it that way. So I can promise you, I'm not just saying this to say it, I can sympathize with the trans community. I really can. And I wish you nothing but the best. I hope that you have a happy, fulfilled life. I promise you, I mean that. On a human to human level, I want nothing but the best for everyone, and that includes trans people. But God damn it, we have to draw the line somewhere. And that somewhere, and one of those somewheres, is competing against biological females. It's not fair. You cut it out. Guys, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.